Landfall.
You forgot an iconic one. You forgot an iconic one.
Did I?
You got Old Man of the Sea, which is really good. But there's another one printed around that time. Also is fringe playable in Legacy, I would argue. From the Dark. Can you name it?
Let me see what Christopher's going to start off with here. He's got a Swift Spear off a mountain. Todd just drew a Siege Rhino. He's going to start with a Canopy Vista.
Time's up. No. The judges were looking for Preacher.
No, I was not going to.
We were looking for Preacher.
I don't even know what that card. Okay, that card's white, for sure. That's about all I know.
Okay, well,
I don't know anything else about it.
We'll bring up the tape momentarily.
2 Swift Spears coming to the red zone here. Now, Abzan aggro going to start off pretty slow as far as mana is concerned, but if you're able to get, okay, hold on. Gain control of 1, great text here, of opponent's creatures. Opponent chooses which target creature you control. If Preacher becomes untapped, you lose control. I can't read this.
It's Edict Old Man of the Sea, but it doesn't care about power.
You just made that much easier to understand.
Oh. Callous Oppressor then, I don't know. Whatever.
Preacher in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Pick yours up today at StarCityGames.com. Windswept Heath will be sacrificed. Looks like Mr. Robinson is on the hunt here. Maybe a Glade. Yeah, get a Cinder Glade.
I think you can show and tell that in against an Emrakul and be out ahead.
The answer we've all been waiting for. Finally.
Over here.
For those white decks that just can't beat it.
Immune to many things, but not the power of persuasion.
That's correct. Here comes Swift Spear. Is there a spell for Christopher Robinson, to play? Well, Todd has no effect. Is there an Antarctic command coming? There is. This is a lot of damage. This is something you're used to. I know you've been doing this a lot in Modern.
Mm-hmm.
A lot in Modern recently. Anderson going to sacrifice his Wooded Foothills.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
No extra commentary to that. That's just a lot of damage.
Smoldering Marsh is what he's found. So he's trying to get the mana online and stabilize, but that might be pretty difficult for him to do. He's getting beaten down here. Keep in mind, this is his 3rd turn, and he's at 7 already.
Has not played a spell, and this has been a vulnerability of Abzan last year too. Less so with the aggro decks, but still occasionally a problem of just it takes him a while to get something going. Basic Forest and Offense of the Foremost for Anderson. Going over to Robinson. Abbot of Carroll keep the draw. There's a Bloodstained Mire. Now keep in mind, the thing about the landfall deck and red decks in general that are aggressive, they don't really have a lot of burn spells. However, Become Immense will work just fine. That'll get the job done here for Christopher Robinson, who's got a turn 4 kill here against Todd Anderson. Red-green landfall up a game very quickly against Abzan aggro. And not the first turn 4 kill we've seen out of this deck. That was a straightforward beatdown. Turn 4 through a blocker too. Yeah. And not even that great of a draw from Robinson. No, I'd say that's a pretty run-of-the-mill average stuff. Turn 1 Swift Spear, turn 2 Swift Spear go. You know, that's not that explosive of a start. Still good for a turn 4 kill through a blocker. Well, we're going to take a look at the sideboards here. We'll see if Anderson's got any anti-aggro hit. He's got a lot of blue cards on the board, but I don't know if those line up well for this matchup. He's got 2 copies of a Ration Cleric, a Hidden Dragon Slayer, 2 copies of Self-Inflicted Wound, a Dead Drop, a Silk Wrap, 2 Dispels, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Exert Influence, the control magic we alluded to earlier, a Stratus Dancer, and a Duress. I think Duress is good in this matchup. I could see Stratus Dancer a little on the slow side, but still, I think, reasonable to bring in. 2 copies of a Ration Cleric, an additional copy of Silk Wrap, and a Hidden Dragon Slayer just as an early blocker with some lifelink, I think are solid options here for Todd. Yeah, just face up? Yeah, face up, and there'll be spots where playing it face down is okay, but just having a more cheap interaction. You saw what got Todd killed that game, didn't do anything on turn 2. On the side here for Robinson, he's got 3 Fire Impulse, 4 Self-Inflicted Wounds. Oh, we got 1 Smoldering Marsh and a bunch of red fetches.
I love it. 2 Arc Lightnings, 3 Scab Clan Berserkers, 2 Thunderwreck Regions, and an Outpost Siege. Love the sideboard. Yeah, here. The Outpost Siege seems fine here. 4 copies of Self-Inflicted Wounds seem great for this matchup. Great answer to Anaffenza, Siege Rhino, basically anything Todd's going to bring to the table here. And I think that Scab Clan Berserker is on the fence. It's close to a card I would consider bringing in. Depends on what options he wants to cut out of the deck. I think I want it on the play if there's a game 3. I don't love it on the draw. That's where I'm at too. Yeah. You know, there's going to be a lot of draws where Todd just passes on turn 2, and then that card's very good. But on turn 3,
Suddenly Todd's 3-mana removal is online. He can play blockers out in front of it. So I think I agree with your assessment.
Well, these players will shuffle up here for game number 2. Anderson's going to try to make it past turn at number 4. And while he does get ready to do that, we'll talk about SCG Game Night, a very popular promotion where it is October now, so our Hippo is available.
Absolutely. And stores can set up game night however they want to, sanctioned or unsanctioned. Just get players in their store for fun and friendly magic to collect these pins and tokens we send out every month. This is the October kit, and we got the rest of the year set up here as well. November, we'll bring the Otter. And if you want to bring the December kit, to your store, which we're debuting here, the Reindeer, head over to starseedgames.com/game night. Always get more information there. Contact your Starseed Games in-store play representative.
Caribou what? What's the card?
Caribou Range.
Caribou Range, thank you. Thank you very much.
Sacrifice it, gain a life, you know.
Caribou tokens.
Cannot kill Caribou Range with Abrupt Decay. It's 4 mana. If they try to Abrupt Decay one of your tokens, you can sack in response for 1 life.
That's true. So you've got Abrupt Decay just beat.
It's like a better deal than Farmstead. Farmstead, it's much the same thing, except you don't get a token, and you can Abrupt Decay it. One of Magic's least powerful cards is Farmstead. So being an improvement over that card, not too hard.
Both players going to take a look at the opener. We'll see if Todd wants to keep his opening hand or not. He's on the play here. Remember, if you do mulligan, Vancouver mulligan rule is in order here. Now, this is something that I think is going to happen quite a bit. Players will take a look at their opening hands for a while before deciding to keep, especially when you're playing a deck like Anderson, where you're starting things off with a Sunken Hollow, even though he's Obs on aggro.
Yep. It is challenging to sequence your lands, even when you have any fetch land you want and any dual land you want. Here, with only 5 and 5, plus long-term implications of trying to fetch enough basics to be able to have future battle lands come to play untapped, it's hard. Playing with these lands is going to be really hard.
Scythe Leopard is where Robinson does start. Anderson will sacrifice a Windswept Heath. He's down to 19. He'll get a basic Plains. We'll see if he's got a follow-up or not. He's got a Hanger Backwalker. So over to Robinson we'll go. Not hard for the Leopard to be attacking for 3. Does have a fetch land in hand. Actually, a couple of them. Wooded Foothills and 2 Windswept Heaths. There's a Foothills. That'll trigger the Leopard. It's a 2-2. It's about to be a 3-3. See what land Robinson wants to search up. Gonna go with a basic Mountain.
And looks like Robinson has brought in Thunderbreak Regent. Not a card I'm too stoked about in this matchup. Not hard for Anderson to kill it on curve. Not great against Languish, but Robinson trying to go a little bit bigger for what he would expect to be a longer game.
Here's Swift Spear. So it looks like 4 damage is going to come across here. Anderson, no interest in blocking just yet. So we're going to head back Todd's way. Couple of lands over there, but getting beaten down. Going to sacrifice Windswept Heath, fall down to 14. Maybe on the hunt for a basic, it'll be a forest. Maybe NFN's on the way. We'll see. A lot of the time, I'd say it would be bad that Robinson has so many lands in his hand, but he's playing a landfall deck, so it's not that bad.
Though a second Hanger Backwalker here is pretty bad news for Robinson. Anderson can really start gumming up the works here.
Yep. Christopher's drawn a card. Quite a few fetches over there. Also has a copy of Cinderglade in hand. Trigger the Leopard. Leopard's going to come in. It's a 2-2 right now. The potential to become a 3-3. And if a Tarkus commander gets involved, even more than that. Looks like Anderson going to go with no blocks.
And this would be a pretty risky line of play against the red decks that existed last year, or last week even.
Yeah.
But with, with no copies of Stoke the Flames in these lists anymore, no copies of Lightning Strike, Todd can be a little bit more liberal taking some hits.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing now, where, if you went to 10 against a red deck, you would, okay, I'm going to get burnt out.
Yep.
But that's not really the case anymore. At least it doesn't seem that way. So there's a Snapping Gnarlid. Anderson going to charge up his Hanger Backwalker, pass the turn back.
It's a distant third in terms of the quality of the cheap landfall threats, but still totally serviceable.
It can be a 4-4 in a pinch. Flooded Strand the land here for Anderson. He's going to pass the turn back. See if Hangerback Walkers are interested in getting in combat now. Abbott of Carroll Keep is where Robinson's going to start. Take a look at the top card. Zergo. Seen better, seen worse.
It's at least a thing to do. Robinson's hand appears very land heavy right now. In fact, I believe it is nothing but.
Yeah, a couple fetches over there, which is nice, of course.
Problem here from Robinson's side, it's hard to make any attacks that don't give the option for Todd of just saying, okay, well, I will block with Hangerback Walker in such a way to get a trade. Now I have a Sea of Thopters. None of your threats trample, and it's going to be hard for you to make much happen for the rest of the game.
Chump block a bunch more there, too. Does have to be wary of cards like Become Immense. We just saw one last game. There's a lot to take into account. Atarka's Command as well, but Hangerback Walker looking fantastic this game thus far. Zergo looks like it's going to be dashed. All right, let's go. Well, it's all face up.
Yep.
Don't have to worry about any free cards. Just depends on how Anderson wants to block and how he wants to balance his life total. He's going to start by sacrificing a Flooded Strand. There are some bad things that could happen here to Christopher Robinson when you're playing against a deck that has this many colors. A Jeskai Charm from the trees or something, you know?
And even in the worst case scenario, what Todd can do is put the 2/2 Hangerback Walker in front of the Side Leopard. The 1/1 goes in front of Zergo. Both get activated. You take a pretty big shot this turn, but I guess falling to 4 is something Todd would prefer to avoid.
Murderous Cut's huge.
Oh, then this turn is just perfect here for Todd. He can trade off here a bunch, get a bunch of Thopters for his trouble if he wants it.
Yeah, this turn's delightful. Gonna swallow up a bunch. Zergo's gonna go back to the grip because it was dashed.
Yeah, this line of play would have been dangerous, I think, if Todd did not have the Murderous Cut. But with Murderous Cut, he takes 1 point of damage this turn. 2 points of damage this turn, excuse me.
Yeah, that's not so bad. Thopter token's on the way, too.
Yeah. Now, Todd can go on the offensive wall, still managing the board.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to play here all day. He is at 8.
Yeah, it feels like, well, Giddy in the draw, not bad. It feels like, you know, one Rhino closes it out.
Yep.
Just going from 8 to 11 feels pretty safe.
I mean, even here, he can simply, you know, if he wants to, he can play Gideon, make an emblem, attack. Starts applying a lot of pressure that way.
Okay, okay. Get hyper aggro, but can kind of also kind of balance it a little bit.
Still got a Hangerback Walker on defense.
Sure.
I think the question for Todd here, does he want to make an emblem this turn, or does he want to make a token this turn and then an emblem next turn?
It is interesting, the combination of Gideon and Hangerback Walker, how fast it lets you turn the corner.
Yep. A lot of closing speed here for Anderson's deck.
Looks like he's going to start with a White Knight ally, get across here for 3 points of damage, put Robinson down to 13. Ideally, if you're Anderson, you want to close this game out 2 turns max, probably. Mm-hmm. You want to close the windows as fast as you can. Don't give the opponent any additional draw steps. Unfortunately for Robinson, his draw was just another land, though Anderson doesn't know that. So Hangerback Walker is going to move up to a 3/3. Active Gideon, draw a card.
And Dispel.
Oh.
Not a bad draw here for Anderson.
No, not at all.
Keeps Atarka's Command and Become Immense from being considerations.
That might be the check mark here. It's a pretty tough one to beat. Looks like Anderson considering cashing in the Gideon here for an emblem. But not just yet. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good turn. Can play Anafenza, leave up Dispel, activate Gideon.
Yeah, a bunch of good routes here, and I think, you know, Anderson can sense that Robinson's hand has to be really weak. creatures he would be casting, and there's been several turns gone by here with Robinson playing no spells of note, so.
It's also just really nice, as we mentioned, when Stoke the Flames has worked its way out of the format, you don't have to worry about that, oh, well, I'm at 8, I'm going to get stoked and then stoked again. You know, that's just off the table. That's happened to so many. There's a land. Here comes Anafenza, dispels the last card in hand. Can activate Hangerback Walker. Robinson will draw a card to copy a Thunderbreak Regent. A little late to the party, unfortunately, here for Christopher.
And I believe casting it leaves him dead on board. Too much offense on Todd's side.
And he will concede. So Todd Anderson's going to win game number 2 here against Christopher Robinson. 1-1 is the score as Obs on aggro and red-green landfall get ready here for game number 3. Tough part here for Anderson is that he's going to be on the draw, and we saw what Robinson can do on the play.
And Anderson not with a lot of sweepers in the list, you know? So there's no splash for Radiant Flame, which can make this kind of matchup a lot easier. He's leaning very heavily on a Ration Cleric when he's on the draw. Silk Wrap can also be a big help there, but it's really Cleric he's looking for.
Well, we've already taken a look at the sideboards here for these players, so as they get ready here for game number 3, we'll talk about the Star City Games newsletter. It's your source for Match of the Gathering news, and best of all, it's free to sign up for.
A lot of information here pertaining to Star City Games. With the Open Series, you get all the information on the goings on there, including a match of the week. You get exclusive deck lists and advice for some of our premium columnists, an exclusive cardboard crack comic, and best of all, as Cedric mentioned, sign up is free over at starcitygames.com/newsletter.
Game number 3 between red-green landfall and Obs on aggro. You know, we call it Obs on aggro, but I'm actually kind of a fan of this blue splash on the board because I don't want to say it's free, but it sure feels that way.
Once you're at 3 colors, it's not that hard to get the 4th color in there.
I'm kind of digging this little splash here. Also, these blue cards, I feel like they're going to come from nowhere.
Yeah, Dispel, Disdainful Stroke, and Stratus Dancer all seem excellent to me, and Exert Influence seems like a great card for mid-range mirror matches.
Yeah, that one's going to be coming out of nowhere, and you can do it for 4 to take a Siege Rhino pretty easy.
Yep.
So I'm kind of a fan of this blue sideboard, and the players that are playing this deck, Todd Anderson, 5-0, Tom Ross, 5-0, Brad Nelson, 4-1, they're all off to great starts.
I'm just checking here to see, and there is 1 Smoldering Marsh in the deck. So if you need to take a 5-power creature, there you go.
You can do that as well. Very nice. Well, for Todd Anderson, it's just another Open Series event for him. Player with the most Open Series top 8s in history. 3 Invitational top 8s with a win in 2012. 23 Open Series top 8s with 6 Ws. The 6th one happened in Cincinnati just a few weeks ago. 4 Grand Prix top 8s. As we mentioned, most Open Series top 8s of all time. Married to Callie Anderson, fantastic member of Star City Games Organized Play, the first woman to ever win an Open Series event. And as we have talked about, he's got some real prowess in NFL Blitz.
I haven't actually got to see it in action, but he asked me what my favorite plays were, and I didn't know that people had favorite plays in NFL Blitz. So he's at least that serious. Seems pretty serious to me.
I don't know, the B button?
Yeah. Turbo. I like the turbo button. Makes my guy run faster. That's about the end of my analysis.
Is there a code to make it so the turbo never runs out? Because the turbo has to run out, right?
Yeah.
It's like a bar, probably. Maybe Todd knows the code.
Maybe.
Unlimited turbo.
But that's cheating. I think Todd would prefer to win straight up.
All right, fair enough. It's like an NBA Jam. The turbo button, or you make their hands move really fast and start to steal the ball. It's basically cheating. For all the things they remake nowadays, why has there been an NBA Jam remake?
I don't know. Maybe there has. I don't know if you're in the loop on the video game world necessarily.
They remake so many horrible movies, and the remakes are horrible, but we can't remake great video games. I think I would have caught wind of an NBA Jam remake. Just saying.
I'm sure the social media sphere will be answering that momentarily.
I'm pretty passionate about NBA Jam.
I was too.
I was a big fan when I grew up.
Starbury Van Horn. Killer combo.
Yeah,
killer combo.
Basically unbeatable. Is that the New Jersey team?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my God, that team's so horrible. Oh my goodness. That's really not good. I'm fairly sure the Cavs team then was really bad.
It was probably Brad Daugherty, or was that after his time? Craig Elo?
That's after them. So we're talking maybe
like Andre Miller?
Yeah, maybe overweight Sean Kemp.
Oh, yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah. And a player to be named later. Like not particularly good. Swift Spear is where things are going to start here for Christopher Robinson. Going to get a basic mountain off the fetch, going to come across here for 1. There you go. Does not have Vigilance. Well, there's a remake for Xbox 360 and PS3, but apparently it's very bad. Just like most remakes, just let it go. Another attack for 1. Zergo. Bloodstained Mire. Kick it back. Anderson's going to sacrifice that Wooded Foothills.
And Robinson there with self-inflicted wound in hand, so it appears that he gave up on the opportunity to cast the McKindy Slide Runner here, so he can fetch for his Smoldering Marsh and be able to cast self-inflicted wound.
Love it. Now, this is great as long as Hanging Back Walker doesn't show up, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's, I believe, Duress?
Yes.
Okay. The jig is up. Self-inflicted wound and a Tarkus command.
So, several reasons there. Robinson doesn't know exactly what mana he wants to get just yet.
Yep.
And he definitely wants the opportunity to cast self-inflicted wound should that show up. So, being patient.
He's being kind of pulled in a couple different directions here.
But I appreciate the patience. Slide Runner there, I think it's too aggressive of a play last turn.
It's actually a pretty tough choice for Anderson, too. Because the Tarkus command's so powerful, you don't want to leave your opponent with that card.
Yeah, does Todd have an alternate way to play the game that doesn't involve turning on self-inflicted wound? If he doesn't, he kind of just has to take it.
Canopy Vista the follow-up. Robinson going to sacrifice his Bloodstained Mire now. Probably go get a Glade. Yeah, it's got red-green. This only gets really awkward if he draws like exactly self-inflicted wound.
Sure.
That's where it gets a little tough. But I think searching up this land makes sense.
He's got a Tarkus command in hand.
Yeah.
So that to me, that settles it.
Exquisite Firecraft to draw. Here's an attack for 3. Anderson going to fall down to 14. See the Slide Runner here in just a moment. That'll be Robinson's turn. Another great start here for the landfall player. Anderson with a hidden Dragon Slayer.
Anderson also with self-inflicted wound in hand. Not a whole lot of green cards in Robinson's list.
No, not really. He's got the Leopard and Snapping Gnarlid.
I think that Anderson needs to try to line up his removal as much as possible on the draw, like on curve. So I can appreciate bringing in self-inflicted wound because if you tag a creature on turn 2, it's so valuable.
Oh, there's hidden Dragon Slayer. Canopy Vista, pass the turn back. I think it may have been another Exquisite Firecraft here for Robinson. He just doesn't have a third land yet, but he's got a lot of reach in his hand.
I don't think he can really stop the attacks right now.
Yeah, you know, this attack kind of stinks, but I think you got to make it.
It's not that bad. He can deal 3 and make Anderson not gain life. And he gets to deal 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Maybe 7 flat.
It can be +1/+1 instead. I mean, there's 3 different modes. They all line up in roughly the same place between +1/+1, deal 3, and you can't gain life this turn.
Okay. I mean, you're still going to get the creature off the board. You're still going to deal a boatload of damage.
There's no way for Robinson to save the Slide Runner.
Sure.
So the only thing he can do is deal as much damage as possible.
And he's got a great amount of reach in his hand because he's got 2 Firecrafts over there. He's got to hope that Anderson doesn't have a card like Siege Rhino. Todd going to quickly untap, take a draw step here. He's at 5. Let's make it 4. Let's make it 8. Excuse me, let's make it 7. But 7 isn't out of the woods here.
No, not at all. With 2 Firecrafts in hand, if Robinson rips a land this turn, Anderson needs more help.
Ding. Wooded Foothills. Gotta light him up.
Yeah, you can knock Todd down here to 1 with the Firecraft.
Yeah, I like Firecraft and attack quite a bit, actually. Gonna put him down to 3. Love the attack. Put him down to 1. Eat a creature. Because now if Todd has a Siege Rhino, he still loses.
Yep.
That's a big deal. Or Roshan Cleric, either one. Picked up a copy of Dispel. That ain't going to help.
He's got Tremoka's Command in hand, but I think if he sits on Tremoka's Command, that's the only thing he can do.
Yep.
So he can take a risk here, put another thing into play, and try to get this game over with, or he can sit back and hope to draw lands. Because lands allow him to leave up Tremoka's Command and make some plays.
Yeah, he's in this weird situation, too, where he kind of wants to leave Droka's Command, but he also wants to maybe put Anafenza on the board.
Right, it's really close.
Ooh, boy.
If he's doing this...
Yeah, he's deploying Anafenza.
Yeah, I think he's gonna cast a creature in his hand, and if that's
He's got cut.
He's got cut. Okay. Cut allows him to kill and leave up Tremoka's Command, which is what he needs to do.
Robinson pulls the trigger on this Firecraft. It's going to go bad for him. Hey, he says, I'll attack you. And Todd says, I'm gonna cut you.
I think I don't know. This is real tight here for Robinson. I can appreciate going for it. Yeah.
Tremoka's Command's going to counter that, put a counter on the Rhino. Now the Rhino's 2-turn clock.
At least this way, Robinson wins the game if he doesn't have Tremoka's Command, and even if he does, you still have another draw step.
Yep. There's Anafenza. Here's an attack, puts you down to 5.
Robinson still got a draw.
It doesn't look like a red card, though. It's a Forest, and I think the other card's a Snapping Gnarlid. It's actually worse than that. It's a Leopard. It passed the turn back. Anderson's going to draw. Self-inflicted wound will take care of that. And that is going to do it. Todd Anderson's going to win this match here over Christopher Robinson, 2-1. Very, very close match, but a timely Tremoka's Command to get the job done for Robinson Aggro. And for number 6 on our Season 4 leaderboard, he moves on to 6-0.
Yeah, really great set of games there. Very, very tight. You got to see, both decks kind of do their thing, like we saw earlier with this matchup. Jerry Thompson playing against this matchup in round 1. Games are going to be close. And it feels like the game where the landfall deck is on the play, especially if it's happening pre-board.